Hey, what is up everybody, Blaze for here and today for you guys on the video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video, guys, you already see the title. We are going to be doing the build guide for Futaba, which it was really supposed to come out a little bit earlier, but I have not been feeling good and I have had a lot of things to do. Even currently now, I'm still a wee bit sticky feeling, as you guys can kind of probably hear about my voice. And yeah, it has a lot of things, but we finally are coming out with a video. We're going to be explaining exactly how this chick works, exactly what she can do, and everything in full detail. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video, but let's get into it. All right, so first things first here is we're going to be looking at the character and should you dupe her out. Pretty much all of her actual awareness is here. And the first thing I gotta say about this chick is holy crap, is she useful. Even if you don't have any awarenesses on her at all, she is actually a fairly useful character, and her main actual selling point of everything here is going to be able to actually increase that weakness damage to deal more of that full-on damage that she's allowed to do throughout her weakness implant. Now this is all going to be absolutely amazing for anyone who's using mainly a weakness based team here. So as long as you can get multiple cycles off or multiple like hits off, so characters that actually have 2 turns like Joker, or even the follow-up characters like Bowie, they can come in handy a lot. But her main deal that we're going to be looking at is her awarenesses here. So if we go ahead and take a look at the first at least awareness here, or the A0, information gathering is how she fully does work. Whenever she uses a persona skill or an ally uses a persona skill, she'll end up gaining 5% of analysis progress. Pretty much what analysis progress is, this is her version of like how we have with the other characters as like music notes for Okion, pretty much those stacks right there. Whenever an ally does actually use a skill to exploit a weakness when she's on the team to actually cause damage, she will actually give you a 15% more of analysis progress. And once this fully builds up, you'll get a hack completed status. Pretty much what this does for all allies, you're increasing your damage from either 10 to 15 or to 20%, just being a certain level. So if you are level 10, you're getting yourself that 10%. If you're level 50, you're getting yourself that 15%. And if you're level 70, you're getting that 20%, being the maximum at the start of the battle for 2 whole turns, or at least for 2 whole turns in general. That's already good for the A0. But the A1, things get even better. She's actually able to start with the whole analysis progress at 100% here, or in the hack complete status, and this actually allows you to get a crit rate increased by 12%. So whenever you do have analysis progress to 100%, or either when you have the hack completed status, you're actually getting yourself that crit rate by 12%, which is already really good, because that's a bonus crit rate now that you don't have to qualify for with just on the Navi, or either just having on the character. You're able to just have that there and just know that is a guaranteed 12% that is just going to be there at all times, which is really good. Anything above this is actually extra, and I'm being so honest about this, but boy oh boy is it good. So her A3, remote assistance. When an ally actually attacks an enemy with her debuffs on there, because she does debuff the enemy, she's actually able to give you a 25% attack increase. If I'm right about this, I gotta make sure that, yeah, that is attack. Okay, so attack increase. Now also, if you are getting a fatal hit, their HP cannot leave 1. So she kind of turns into somewhat a defensive Navi as well, and this makes it so they can't kill you in one shot. They can only kill you afterwards. Now this can only happen to one ally once, so surely do keep this in mind. But alongside of that happening, you actually get yourself a 20% shield as well, which can be very much so clutch, because I'm not gonna lie, shields with her is pretty darn decent, and just having a 20% more of a shield is actually really nice to have underneath, or at least in your back pocket. So that's really good to see. Now for the last one, being the A6, I'm not going to go over A5 because as we all know, this is always like increasing for the highlights and stuff like that. But the A6, she just, I'm not going to lie, for a navigator, all the navigators are busted, but this is just filthy. So whenever she's using her move in the name of the Featherman, aka her skill 3 here, it will be casted on all allies, giving you a disruption virus to all enemies. What this does is part of her also kit no matter what, and this allows you to take down a resistance, either one person's resistance. Normally it's only one enemy, but here it's actually going to be all enemies, and it will take them down the same resistance here at the same time. And then during the duration of hack completed, it will be extended to 3 turns. It also allows you to get a weakness damage by 10% and also an overall damage by 25%. So you're getting an all-around damage boost of 25% and a weakness damage by 10%, which is already good. But alongside that, everyone is getting that same resistance already knocked down, allowing us to continuously get that weakness off that she really exploits a lot with her weakness implant. Already good with just the of course dupes. If you can get the character, be sure to get her. I'm praying I can get her on my account by the end of this week, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But yeah, if you can get the character, get the character. If you can get dupes, boy is she worth it. But now that we went over the dupes and should you actually dupe this character, let's actually go over her skills and exactly what they do. All right, so breaking down the character and exactly what these skills do here, there's a few things that we're going to go over. First of all, we need to check out the skill priorities, some things that you guys really want to go ahead and do here for skill priorities. But by doing this, we're going to at least do these one by ones as normal. One of the few things I have to say is none of the skills on this character are really bad. There's just a lot of ones that you want to take more initiative over than the other ones. So first things first, if we're going to prioritize a few skills here, the first thing you guys want to prioritize is the skill 1. The skill 1 is actually very much so helpful. This is called silent hacking, and it's only a 4 action move, so you will get this back pretty quickly. But this actually decreases everybody's defense by 6% up to plus 53, well 0.53% for each attack the Navi has, stacking to a max of 4,600 attack. This is actually going to last you for 2 whole turns, which is really helpful. As you can see right now, we don't have it maxed out on at least man low this account, so he's not getting the full amount. But when you do get this to 10, you're getting that 4,600 amount, and which is absolutely amazing. But pretty much when you're doing in this duration, enemies will take weakness damage, and it's actually doubled. So this is actually nice to have. Alongside of this, of course, if we do have analysis progress at 100%, hack completed is now given to all of the actual allies for 2 whole turns, allowing us to get some nice old buffs here. So if you guys still don't understand what hack complete really is for this one, we're actually able to get our 30% attack off of this as well as a shield. So, or at least 30% Navi attack to a shield. So she's actually able to give us that shield immediately once we do get this. So and not only are we decreasing the enemy, but if we happen to proc that hack complete, we're giving ourselves a shield that can last about 3 turns. So it's already really nice just to have this. I would definitely say advise, at least I would advise you guys to get this one first as the priority, because it is really helpful. The next one that you guys really want to go ahead and look at is going to be the actual skill 3. Now the skill 3 is actually a little bit longer here, unfortunately. It does take the 8 actions to do so. Sorry about that, my voice is dying. But it takes the 8 actions to do so, and this is one is called In the Name of the Featherman. Pretty much all this is whenever an ally has hack completed here, or she's able to use this, and it will increase that ally's attack by 270 plus 21.7 for every 100 attack the Navi actually has. This as well, just like the first skill, stacks up to 4,600 maximum, and it's for 2 whole turns. Now the ally, or at least the ally who actually had this, the corresponding attribute that was buffed here for us is actually going to be a disruption virus for the enemies for that turn. So no matter what, all the enemies are going to be taking that disruption virus, which is actually fairly helpful. And if a lot of you guys don't know exactly what that is, that's pretty much where she kind of deranks all of these little attributes pretty much, or one of these attributes of that attribute in general, or at least one of these attributes. Yeah. So if they have it nullified, repelled, or absorbed, it will immediately go to resist. If they have it resisted, it will immediately go to normal attack. If they have it normal, it will go to a weakness. And if they are weak to it, it will go even ×2 of a weakness, increasing it to 25%. So that's actually really cracked, seeing that you can actually get the disruption virus off, and actually is really, really helpful as well. But this skill I would definitely advise getting as a second priority, because of course this one is easier to do, less cooldowns. This will be number 1, this will be number 2. And last but not least here, I do advise you, of course, to upgrade into the upgrade into the skill 2 last here. Now, of course, skill 1 and skill 3 both go hand in hand, so technically you could shift them around as well. I just think the skill 1 is definitely very good to get here, especially since you're going to be using this one first normally for your rotations. So skill 3, or at least your skill 2 here, skill 2 is actually very, very helpful as well. Pretty much what the whole solidarity of this one does is increasing damage taken, and also speeding up the analysis progress. You don't use it all too often, but you can very well use it here for the most part. So it's called Data Crack. It has 4 actions, and it does, of course, as I did say, increase the damage taken, but it's by a max of 6% and 0.38% for every 100 attack that the Navi does have. And this actually goes up to 4,600 as well. During this effect duration, of course, this skill, whenever an ally uses a skill to deal damage, she's actually able to get 15% more analysis progress to pretty much get this up really quick. So as long as she uses this skill, you're going to be able to charge that analysis progress really, really fast and continue spamming it. Though, unfortunately, as good as this does sound, you're only going to be using your skill 1 and skill 3 a lot, while the skill 2 is more situational and not really used. So surely do keep that in mind. And of course, as all Navis do have, they have their attribute improvement, which is increasing all the allies by 20%. Now, if we're going to talk about exactly the priorities here, we're going to go with skill 1, skill 3, and skill 2. The main reason skill 3 is not the one that is the first priority for me is just because this one comes back faster, and this one allows us to really set up our actual rotation, while our skill 3 is normally going to be the thing that we use next, first of all, right? It's really, really helpful. You also want to get it up to max no matter what for her whole kit, but the skill 3 we always are going to use in our rotation second, while our skill 1 is going to be first. So that is what we really want to do. But all in all, that is all we need to look at. And so let's go ahead and swap over to her best gear sets. Check it out. All right, so checking out her weapons. I said best gear set beforehand, but that was terribly wrong because my behind is just not feeling good right now. But we have the weapon options. Now, she does have a few weapon options that are fairly good. Of course, her 4-star isn't, or at least too bad to compare to the 5-star. It is pretty darn decent. They both deal pretty decent damage, but all in all, you really do want the 5-star for this character. The 4-star is called the portable C-type model here, and which is pretty interesting, but increases her attack by 12%. And then after inflicting disruption virus here, she will increase enemies damage taken by 10% for 2 whole turns. Now, this is just it at R0. This can actually go all the way up to 24% for the attack and 19% for the actual damage taken, which is pretty darn decent. But boy, oh boy, does her 5-star absolutely just blow it out the water insanely here, which I would highly advise if you're getting this character, be sure to get the 5-star weapon for her because it's so worth it. But going ahead and check it out. First of all, the 5-star looks freaking clean as a mug. It actually looks really cool for her design here. And I just love the whole animation with her on it right there. So she's really dang cool with the 5-star. But the 5-star weapon is called the Professional Hack model here, and with this in mind, she's actually able to increase her attack by 30%, and when an ally exploits a weakness and deals damage, the character itself attack will be furtherly increased by 10%. So we're already going to be not only increasing the attack and everything like this, but we're also helping our allies quite a lot. This will last for 2 whole turns immediately, and then after she actually debuffs an enemy, the enemy will then take 7.6 more crit damage for 3 whole turns with a max of 2 whole stacks. So that's around 15% crit damage that they're going to be taking, especially since it stacks no matter what, and it's going to be very much so dangerous. So if you build her how you should be building her, and that's just straight up attack, crit rate, maybe crit damage as well, and just utterly boost her to death with some attack here, she's going to be helping out your team massively, especially with this 5-star weapon, and overall just being a huge threat if you are running a major just offensive team. But that is really what I would advise you guys. As much as the 4-star is really decent here, it's not really bad at all. You can very well so use it and be fine with it. The 5-star makes a huge jump in difference that a lot of you guys might want to get that weapon, and it is definitely necessary. But that is pretty much all I have to say when it does come down to the weapon options. Let's go ahead and get into her actual card set. All right, so taking a look at the card set here, Loda does not have it completed just yet, but we do have a few things that you guys want to go ahead and utilize. The card set that you want to go ahead and check out is going to be called Duty, which is this 4 set immediately right here. And then the main actual arcane card is called Determination. This is actually going to help you out in general for just like any type of general use. Anywhere you want to use this character and get some benefits out of it, you want to use this 2 sets. Now you very well could change it up to Sincerity, which is actually the weird horse one. I have to actually see if Loda has it on him, and I don't think he does. No, he does. There it is. In which this one does help you out as well, but it's more catered to kind of that Phoebe aspect, where if you have a mono team, it's going to come in handy a lot more to use this one. But you would rather use the general use, because there's going to be times where you're going to actually shift this character around. Now, when it does come down to the main stats, we're always going to break down the main stats first. As always, the sun is always HP. The moon you want to make sure is attack. The star you actually want to make sure is crit rate instead of attack. You could use attack, but crit rate is definitely going to be more, at least helpful, seeing that you're going to be already providing yourself that crit damage and you already have a decent bit of attack, so might as well use the crit rate function. And then when it comes down to the planet, make sure you're using attack so we can hit those goals of 4,600 attack, and that is going to be very, very helpful, especially if you're at A0. That is your main thing to try and hit. So now when it comes down to the substats with this character, it's pretty easy to figure out exactly what the substats are going to be. You want to go ahead and only get crit rate and attack, nothing else. If you can get yourself crit rate and attack, that is all you need. So for example, on the star, since this one is going to be a crit rate one, make sure you're trying to get flat attack, crit rate, and an attack percentage. As for the rest of these, make sure you're getting some type of flat attack, some crit rate somewhere, and then maybe crit damage if you want to also get off some more of that there, and transfer more of those stats on over. If you want, you could also go for defense ignore or either damage bonus. Those 2 are also really good, so be sure to try and get those. So once again, I'm going to list these off from main stats, HP, attack, crit rate, and attack. When it comes down to substats, your main primary ones that you want to go for is attack and crit rate. The other ones that you can go for as like backups can be crit damage, defense ignore, and damage bonus. Alrighty, so as always, let's go ahead and take a look at the next section, which is going to be her best team comps. All right, so my throat is absolutely on fire, but we're going to be checking out this character's best team comps here. And with her, she has a couple that she can easily run here, but boy, oh boy, do you want to try your hardest to actually keep this character with other characters who can go multiple times. Now, this is something I've stated way in the past, of course, as always, and quite literally, she can go in any team, but if you want the best out of her, you definitely want to have these characters that can go multiple times. So as I was saying yesterday, or at least as I was saying earlier, Bowie, she goes multiple times. Slap freaking Futaba in here. So make sure you have like maybe cord or something with this, and she can immediately go in there. Of course, you could very well utilize Joker and Bowie together. I wouldn't advise it because it's just not a good mix on my opinion here. But you could use these 2 together and maybe like a buffer being a healer, because of course Bowie is squishy, so having a healer in the team is nice. Also buffing your attack. You could very well also go ahead and utilize a what's it called, Another buffer here, an actual buffer instead of healer, which can be riddled, be very helpful as well, get you those attack stats. Or instead you can actually make them their own separate teams. So instead of having Joker and Bowie in the same team, you could go with the overall Joker team for the most part here, in which we would use something like this. And this will actually be kind of something that I would say is probably your better bet instead of using both of your DPSs on the same team as usual, because you're able to get yourself, of course, those main buffs for Joker, you're able to get yourself those main buffs for this said team, and then Futaba is there to actually support you as much as possible. Now, same goes with at least our girl Bowie. Bowie, she attacks multiple times. All you got to do is just have the characters on the side to actually help her out. It will more likely be Vino here for the debuffer, and then we would most likely have where the heck did she go? I don't know. You could go ahead and oh yeah, I keep forgetting he doesn't have cord, so you would usually use cord here. And if you wanted to be an attacker, you could very well use closer. This actually comes in handy, but cord I would advise in a lot of these teams. So no matter what, you would be using like Joker, whoever you want to use, so either Ren or Vino. I would advise Ren if you're going to be using Joker here, and then you immediately want to use like cord, boom, or either use Joker, Cord, and Marion. It'll all come in handy at that point because you're able to get multiple turns out of this and just have some fun. Now, she can, no matter what, work with any team. So you can, even if you wanted to, smack her on closer's team. It could work. It could actually work. The only reason why we don't do this is because closer doesn't have a double turn value, right? There's no 2 cycles or 2 turns that she can get off, while Joker has the extra turn. He gets multiple hits. Bowie has the extra turns from the follow-ups. So like, there's reasons why we want to get those characters over other ones, but you can very well slap her onto Makoto's team. You can slap her onto any of these DPS's teams, and she would actually be really good of an option for a navigator. But all in all, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I tried to push on through it. My voice is actually dying and I still got to go to work in like 8 minutes. So yes, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, which for just consider subscribing to the channel as well. I'm just trying to get my voice is so dead right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and peace out, you guys.